My name is Terry Gilfillan. I am the board chair for the Gun Violence Prevention Center of Utah. The Gun Violence Prevention Center of Utah has been in existence since the late 90s, early 2000. And the mission of our organization is to prevent the tragedy of gun violence through education and reasonable regulation of firearms. Access to firearms is big in this state, particularly for people who may not be criminal in nature or anything, but have firearms in their home. And when they reach a point that they are potentially having issues where their mental health might be unstable, or there's life situations affect their depression or whatever, they have easy access to firearms. So another thing is that in our state we also have a high rate of homicides by intimate partners. Educating our legislators about the need to do something to curb gun violence in our state. So one of the bills that came out last year is called an extreme risk protective order. And what that does, and what it will do for our state if it is passed, is help people who might be at risk of harming themselves or others, where a family member or a police officer can request from a judge to have that person's firearms removed for that period of time when they're in crisis. Another bill was also introduced that we have been championing for years, is to expand the universal background check system to include the current loopholes, which means the current loopholes are private sales at gun shows and online. So, however, we know that at gun shows and online, private sellers can make arrangements to sell their firearms to someone without a background check. And so if you are someone who knows that you might not pass a background check, there are places in our state, ways to get firearms. So that's a problem. And I feel like we as an organization are really hopeful that our legislature will take a look at that. The unfortunate thing is we've had mass shootings all across this country involving children, people enjoying life at a theater or other events, and those seem to spark a lot of interest in making sure that people who shouldn't have firearms don't get them. But yet our legislature and our Congress has still not passed a universal background check that would close those loopholes that currently exist. I believe after Sandy Hook in 2012, a group of moms marched on the Capitol and demanded that this pass our legislature. It passed the House, went to the Senate, and died by one vote. We've had several bills, I believe 7 to 9 bills last year, that were introduced into the legislature that would curb some of these issues. The extreme risk protective order, the universal background check, safe storage, which is another thing. We're seeing young kids getting access to their parents' firearms and committing suicide. That's a huge thing. And so we're asking people to be responsible gun owners and store their firearms in a place where someone, like a child, can't get access to them, or someone who might be in crisis in the home. So these are measures that we feel our legislature should take up. But last year, they didn't. Several of those bills, in fact, the majority of those bills that were introduced didn't even get a hearing in a committee. I think our biggest challenge is our state legislature. So our our legislature is not responsive to the will of the people. And that is the biggest obstacle, I believe, to saving lives.